Won't trigger the stomach if you're in fight or fright, and all those other things. Yeah. So the reality is, if you are in a parasympathetic state, okay, here is where the energy is. Okay? There's the energy if you're in parasympathetic. If you're not, then it's your legs and your arms, okay, and your brain's on fire. So if you're in a sympathetic terrorism state, your brain goes on fire, dumps the adrenaline, and because adrenaline is so toxic, why is adrenaline toxic? Why is adrenaline toxic? Because it was a dirty trick? No. Because if we had adrenaline that we could just go with all the time on a constant, we'd have a heart attack or we'd burn the brain up and you would stroke out. Because adrenaline is rocket fuel. Right? But what if you were triggering your brain, dumping the adrenaline from your adrenals? What's wrong? I was diagnosed with adrenal exhaustion. There's no such thing. You should have been diagnosed with terrorism, terrorizing yourself. And if somebody else did what you were doing to yourself, they'd be in jail for 10 years. What do you mean? Well, you're trying to kill yourself on an unconscious level. And that's why you got low back pain, okay, between the kidneys. Because the kidneys, you got to remember something. The hat that looks like a hat on top of the kidneys is your adrenals. And it's as flat as a pancake, okay? And if you're stressing yourself out all the time, then we know you're highly acidic. That means that you're in a contraction mode. If you're in a contraction mode, then everything is contracted. Okay, I got knots in my stomach, right? You make me sick to my stomach, okay? I've got a pain here, I've got a pain there, that's all contraction. Don't ask yourself why you're constipated, and then you're constipated for a long time, and then all of a sudden you have diarrhea, and then you could poop through the eye of a needle 10 feet away because your body's in crisis trying to get it out, okay? So anyways, hopefully we sat down and everything was calm, we chewed our food, smallest little molecular size possible so that we don't overstress the stomach, and that the stomach hydrochloric acid will then break out the amino part of it and the pepsin will digest it to get it ready for the small intestine, which is 22 feet long. You see these little wrinkles in here? They're called rugae. When you swallow your food, there's no teeth in here. So hopefully you chewed it well. When it gets in here, those rugae actually move. And it's like a washing machine. Mixing the pepsin in, the hydrochloric acid in, to get right in there, get all around it, break it all up, okay? So then it can come into the small intestine. But here's the problem. If you are working your brain because you're in a sympathetic state, which means that you're upset, you don't dump hydrochloric acid because all the energy went into the legs and the arms. And then you eat something and you just came into Mexico, but you're stressed out because your family's still in Canada or in another country, or how am I ever going to make it down here? What happens is the hydrochloric acid doesn't dump properly. So now you don't digest the food. If you don't have the hydrochloric acid in here, that first domino will cause 30 feet of hell. But there's not the problem. Does anybody understand that the stomach is the guard dog against worms and bad bacteria and mold? And if your hydrochloric acid was dumping properly, you would never have a bacterial problem. Oh my God, or you would never have to worry about worms. I can eat worms. I can eat mold. I can eat bad bacteria as much as I want because I'm happy. Okay? When you're not happy, when you're upset, and you take in worms that might be in food or mold or bacteria, you haven't got your guard dog, because you do have a second set of teeth, and that's the hydrochloric acid. It's so acidic, it destroys anything bad. It doesn't get into the small intestine. If it gets into the small intestine, that's the highway to hell. All because first we created hell up here, we came in here, and now we're going to create it all the way from the stomach. Every time you're upset, how does it feel right around this area? Okay, all right? Okay, so When somebody says you're highly acidic, they're not telling you have nice hydrochloric acid and a lot of it, and it's strong. It's actually weak. They're talking about the other acid that actually depletes the oxygen levels and the minerals in your cells. And if you do that 35% or more for 3 days, you got cancer cells. So listen, I'm just saying, okay, just saying, that if you need to be pissed off, try to calm down before 72 hours. Okay, that was a joke. Okay, all right. It's a dead audience. I get it. Okay, I'm kidding. So, the longer you stay stressed out, the more that you cause your cells to go into terrorism. Trillions of them. They get a thick coating on the outside, okay? They can't breathe in oxygen anymore. They can't get nutrition anymore. And guess what? When you're upset, okay, do you poop right? No, you don't poop right. Either does your cells. So the poison stays inside. What does that do to the mitochondria? Well, you get really acidic inside the cell, and the mitochondria are demanding what? Calcium. The mitochondria actually get calcified. And then they can't spin 2,500 times per second. How's that for a tornado trying to make energy? And then they only spin around 500 times, and then guess what? You're supposed to make 85 kilograms of ATP if you're 75 kilograms heavy. That's 10 more kilograms than your weight. And that's somebody around 175 pounds, right? So you need to make 195 pounds approximately of ATP, but you're not going to make it because you don't have the spin. Without the spin in the mitochondria, you don't. Your ATP is crippled. Because your mitochondria, which are a powerhouse that's in every cell. And you can't have any disease, any part of your body, without the mitochondria being damaged. And there is the root of all disease. And what turns it on and turns it off is frequency. And when I said calcium, it's calcium ions that turn on your mitochondria, but when they can't get the ions because you're stressed all the time, you're burning them up, it'll pull calcium from the bones, which is metabolic calcium, and then it calcifies the mitochondria, and they can't spin. So you're calcified. Oh yeah, but you're also getting calcified in your joints and in your organs. Oh, what about the calcium deposits in your breast? What about the calcium deposits in your kidneys called kidney stones? What about the calcium deposits in your gallbladder called gallstones? So all of this is caused because of when you're creating stones in the body, you are precancerous. Say it out loud.
When you're creating stones in the body, you're precancerous.
That's right. And how many people do you know have gallstones? Do you know anybody?
But I released a whole thousands of them.
That's right. So she dumped hers the other day.
Yeah.
And how did she dump it? By raising her vibration. She didn't do a gallbladder cleanse, okay? She did a happy upload. Because anything that is higher vibrational than what's in you has to go. Did you get that? So if you have a low vibrational diet and you think you're going to get rid of something, you can forget it. So even if you ate good, if you hung around with low vibrational people, which is mainly your family usually, sorry guys, then what happens is if you've got cancer, the chances are the reason why you're not going to get well is because your family, they were programmed to basically unconsciously, subconsciously help kill you. And I know I'm off track, but I'm not. Okay, so anyways, the stomach, like I just said, the hydrochloric acid needs to be strong enough because it's the guard dog. So go ahead, stress yourself out. Make yourself sick. You make me sick to my stomach. Yeah, there goes your hydrochloric acid. This is a good time to poison you. No, this is you poisoning yourself. Okay, so if it's weak, doors open up, goes in. Gets in your small intestine, okay? And that's where all the disturbances happen. But remember something. Here's the deal. In the small intestine, about 22 feet, that's where most of the nutrition is uptake for your body. There are little hairs in here. Millions of them. Those hairs break off with alcohol, sugar, flour, dairy. Okay? Bad fats, bad oils, GMOs, glyphosate, prescription drugs, okay? Antibiotics destroy these hairs. They make them brittle and they fall off. And they don't grow back. But it doesn't matter. There's millions and millions of them. We're born with more than we need. But the reality is they don't grow back, as far as I've been told. But I'm sure they do if we brought our vibration up high enough. See, we could tell everybody something and everybody believes it, and then it just keeps happening, right? That's just like, you know what? There's people that I know, friends of mine, that are doctors, that say that vaccinated people kill other people. Now, isn't that just silly? Because no, we kill ourselves. Healthy people will not get sick from a vaccinated person. Whatever you want to believe, you go ahead. These are people that are seeking out trauma, and that's really, truly real. And I'll tell you something right now. Okay, God would never allow a game like that, okay? You create your own game, you make your own rules, all right? Now, so anyways, we're into the small intestine, 22 feet. Okay, this is where you'll get ileitis, this is where you'll get Crohn's disease, okay? You will get some bloating, but just know most of your bloating is coming from your large intestine, okay? So, right here, 22 feet, nutrition uptake. By the time it gets to the cecum, okay, and believe it or not, are you ready for this? Most hip problems, okay, are caused from blockages right here in the large intestine. Okay? Most hip problems on the left side are caused from constipation right here. Where's the hip? Well, the hip is like this. Look at it. Right? So what do you think? Let's just really think for a second here. There's never been a time in history when they've done more hip replacements and more knee replacements and more inguinal hernias than any other time in history. In the last 10 years, it's gone up, what? 2,000%. Do you know why? Because you're spoiled rotten. Okay? Hey, we can upsize this for 50 cents. You sure? Come on. You know, we do this, you'll definitely give birth to that child, whatever that is, that's in you. Okay? I mean, come on. Look at how dumbed down we've been. I didn't say we were dumb. I said dumbed down. So just remember that. People take things wrong. He called us dumb. No, you have dumb beliefs. So understand something. If we were in a healthy world and you saw somebody and their tummy was hanging down over their belt and looked like an elephant's snout, you would, can I help you? Is there something wrong? But today, you just, whatever. Now, if you see somebody, okay, and they look like they're 9 months pregnant and they're bald, you're still going to go, whatever. They could even put a beer on it and it would just sit there. And you wouldn't say a word. You wouldn't say a word because it's just too normal. You know, when I go to the mall, I'm scared that I'm going to be eaten. And then Sage's partner, she's so thin and small, they'd use her for a toothpick after. Love you, Tara. But just for fun, next time when you go to the mall and you find somebody that looks like they've got a beach ball in there, just get a pin and prick it and see if they fly.
I've always wanted to try.
You've always wanted to do that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. We're going to Z Wattenagel. We got the bus. Okay. Sharon? Really? No, I didn't notice. And you know what? Big is beautiful. Inflammation is beautiful. Fat is beautiful. Now understand something, and you need to get this. I don't look at it as something beautiful or not beautiful. It's more health oriented, that's all. I mean, the more fat you have, the more infection you had, the more inflammation you had. You need fat cells because if you didn't have, well, see, where's fat? It is on the inside, but it's mainly on the outside. Remember, if you have an inch of fat on the inside, then that means for 25%, you got to go 25%. So if you have an inch of fat on the outside, then you have a 1/4 inch of fat wrapped around all your organs. Oh yeah, if you open somebody up, it looks like there's butter just all over the place. And if you didn't have that, you'd be dead. Because fat cells, they hold the infection and the inflammation until you're ready, okay, to be the creation of your life. And you're ready to just reduce the inflammation on an emotional and physical level. First, they infect our minds with what? Toxic beliefs. And then we infect our lives, which then in our bodies, which then infect our cells. And our cells say, we can't take it. We're going to go cancerous. No, don't worry. We will make fat cells. Then what happens is the toxins and the inflammation goes into the fat cells. But here's the problem. What if you didn't make fat cells properly? Like, you're not a fat cell maker. So some people are really good at it and some people aren't. So where do you think it's going to go? If you're a woman, hey, look at that. There's 2 storage sheds up there made out of fat. Let's go get them. Trouble in River City. And so I always say that breast cancer first starts on a physical level down in the pelvis because you were pooping in your pelvis. Now, fat cells hold inflammation and infection. What holds more inflammation and infection than fat cells? Scar tissue. Scar tissue holds heavy metals too because it's trying to lock it down. But what holds more infection and inflammation than scar tissue? Fibroids. Okay, so they're continually lock it down. But what if you were terrorizing yourself all the time? Well, then the fibroid becomes what? A tumor. But hold on a second here. We call it a tumor in the natural health industry. And guess what? You little buggers. 10 years ago, they decided to take the word fibroid and get rid of it. And they decided to call everything a tumor. So when you go to a doctor now, they say, don't call it a fibroid, you know, because we don't discriminate between fibroids and cancer tumors anymore. So we're going to call it all tumors and scare the living crap out of her, which will then ignite the fibroid and help it to become a what?
Cancer.
A tumor. But everything is a tumor. And guess what? The medical system are so unconscious in their subconscious that they don't even know that they've been played. But meanwhile, we idolize these guys that know nothing about health. And you know, people can think I'm just being smart, but the reality is I am. Okay? All right. So anyways, we're in the small intestine. It's moving along. And any area in the small intestine that goes, if you take a look in your manuals, you'll see that every part of the body has an emotion attached to it. Even each section of the small intestine. So let's take the emotion, which is the thought, and then you're going to go, yeah, but it was the food that caused it. But yeah, but the emotion also picks the food. No, eh? Really? See, we don't think until we start thinking. Once we start thinking, we really enjoy it because it makes us feel smarter. And we can actually start protecting ourselves and our families against these terrorists. Oh, who would that be? The medical system, the government, the corporations. Oh, and wait a minute, your own family. Oh, your friends too. Okay, and yourself. That's the first thing. You always got to protect yourself against yourself first. You got to nail that, right? Yeah, because you're only with yourself 24 hours a day, and you'll only have 72 hours before what? Before the cancer cells come, if you're terrorizing yourself. That's why I've been angry for years. Yeah, great. Isn't that cool? So you do want to kill yourself. Isn't that cool? Oh, and don't smile, by the way. Wouldn't want to do that. Nothing to celebrate here. Because my life sucks. No, no, no. You suck. You're sucking the energy right out of yourself, and you refuse to smile. Okay, so now we get to the cecum. Okay, this is quite something here. This is called the ileocecal valve. This is where the small intestine goes into the cecum here. The cecum is a pouch. And when the liquid waste comes into here, it falls into here. And guess what? That's like a little tickle. And it causes contraction. You see these pouches? They're called hostras. And it causes a contraction of these hostras all the way around until hopefully we have a gold nugget come out or something. You know, so, but what happens with a lot of people is they didn't do enough whole plant-based foods, fresh fruit, veggies, structured water. They didn't chew the food right. They didn't combine properly. They were upset at the meal. Okay? So what happens is before it even got through the small intestine, it's already dehydrated and dry. Not enough liquid. So go ahead. I don't drink water. That's really cool. Because if you don't drink water, that means that this assembly line called your small and large intestine, things move through too slow, which means you are rotting here. So by the time it gets to the large intestine, we get root rot. And I call it root rot because basically 99.9% of the population has root rot. You can't have an autoimmune disease unless you've got a bowel problem. Why do you think I push the daily cleansing tea? Because that's something you can take morning and night. Anybody can afford it. And it's the most important thing you'll ever do for everybody in the whole family. Because don't tell me your family eats right. I could go into any of the cupboards in your family and find so much processed foods and things that you're not even aware of because they change the names every few years. So by the time you catch up, there's a whole new name. Well, that's new. Oh, it can't be that bad. Right? So anyways, the waste to come into the cecum, trigger the cecum, and then as it comes around here, the water gets absorbed into the body. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it becomes stagnated, okay, when the large intestine is not the garden of life, creating good bacteria, okay, so look at it this way. So I decided that I'm going to have a garden. And I'm going to put all my new and improved, and also the drive-through foods I don't eat, I'm going to put it into the compost. I'm going to put the French fries, the burgers, okay, the potato chips, okay. I'm going to put the bottle of wine that's not organic. I'll pour some of that in there because it's all going to ferment eventually. Then once I put all of that stuff in there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into my garden. Oh, I can't wait, okay? These wine bottles start to grow. No, listen. Nothing would grow in the garden, would it? The garden would die. It'd be toxic. The only thing would be weeds, right? And when you've got a ton of weeds in the garden, it shows you don't have any mineral balance or nutrition balance or bacterial balance in your soil. So what fool would put potato chips and ice cream and McDonald's French fries and shakes and pizza in their compost and then let it rot and put it in the garden? Have you ever heard anybody doing that? Well, you're doing it. Your family's doing it. You put it into your compost, which is your large intestine, and you let it, because guess what? You know, people say you got to eat fermented foods. The best fermented foods in the world are fruits and vegetables, beans, legumes. That's it right there. Those are the best ones, because by the time they get down here and they just start to get into the cecum, they're fermented. And fermented foods help your bacteria, help mummy's bacteria. They don't help the bacteria that came in a bottle. They help mummy's bacteria. So that's why we want to do fresh and raw. The more fresh and raw, legumes, beans. Beans are really great. Do you ever notice what I do at lunchtime all the time? Because even if I did a salad and then I did beans, right? So I know that I just fed the critters. So I got all my little critters happy down here, because you have to understand, you got about 50 trillion cells. You got 500 trillion different bacteria in the human body. We're walking globs of bacteria. Meanwhile, the medical system wants to kill them off. Why? Because the medical system doesn't have a brain. Okay, it only has a subconscious that has been programmed. They don't use their brain. They don't use their brain. Look at nature. Duplicate nature, and nobody would ever be sick. There would be no such thing as chronic illness. There would be no such thing as autoimmune diseases. And I'll tell you right now, 99.99999999999% of all babies would be born normal, healthy. I mean, think about it. Look at the way most women eat. Is there loving in the oven? And then, how are they emotionally? And then, how is their partner to them emotionally? Whether you want to believe it or not. But all of this damage that we see children coming out with is all preventable. It is. It is. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be going to take a look at a machine tonight that reverses so many conditions, especially cardiovascular disease. This machine was in Seattle, Washington Hospital, their biggest hospital. The cardiologists there, they went on strike. Why? They said, if you don't get rid of this machine, we're all going to quit. Do you know why? Because this machine took over and everybody that used it didn't need heart surgery. And guess what? I'm going to pick it up tonight. So this guy, who I'm supposed to meet about something else, just totally flippant. And I'm like, in my condo, and I'm going, oh my God, I can't meet him. I feel bad, but I can't meet him. And then Leo goes, there's a guy over at the restaurant waiting for you. And I go, oh my gosh. Okay, maybe he's not too angry. Okay, ask him if he'll come over here. What a nice guy. So we go for a ride for something totally different he wanted to show me. And then we're just driving. He goes, yeah. And I go, now I know why we're meant to meet. Anyways, how cool is that, eh? Huh? Yeah, and guys, let me tell you something. It does so much more, I'll tell you later. We're going to rock that thing. You know, brand new, this thing is $250,000 US. Daryl, can you do me a favor? What's that? Just wondering if you're interested in picking this up. Huh. Wow. So with the other stuff we have, we will be lined up. We will be lined up. You have no idea. We're going to need a lot of help. We're going to need a lot of help, everybody. Because we're actually going to tell the truth. And nothing but the truth, so help me God. Okay? All right, so anyways, large intestine, this is the holy grail of everything. Okay? These are the different parts. This is the cecum. This is called the ascending colon. Okay, this is called, right here, the hepatic flexure. Okay, and then you see this here, that's the, what, gallbladder? Okay, and you know how people always say I have gallbladder problems? Guess what they got? They got a trapped fart right here. And that's 99% of the time. You know, when I ran my colon therapy center, okay, the head surgeon of Toronto Hospital, not the head surgeon, but one of the head surgeons there in Toronto Hospital, and what he did was he did gallbladder surgery more than anything else. Can you see that? Like it's like an assembly line, right? Next. And he was telling me, he goes, you know what? I wish that the people that actually did the x-rays would look closer. He goes, we have to play such a game. And I said, well, what's that? What's the game? He goes, well, I'll tell you what. And we're actually told to do it. So when we get somebody with a lot of gallstones, somebody can have hundreds, they can have thousands. Some are really big as a cigarette butt. Some are only granules. Well, we're told to save them all. And I go, why? And everybody understand that a gallstone is cholesterol and calcium. And and the cholesterol is caused because your blood is so acidic, and if you didn't have the cholesterol, because you're getting cracks in your arteries, and the cholesterol is like candle wax, and it's to goop up the cracks so you don't blow out. Okay, so cholesterol is one of the most important hormones for the human body. So, you know, you only have high cholesterol because you have acidity. That's all. So now, and then the calcium has to go into the blood, because if it didn't go into the blood, you would have a coma or die, because you're so acidic. Your pH can only drop a little bit in the blood. Okay, it's got to stay really tight. So that's what makes a gallstone. And the difference between a kidney stone and a gallstone and a calcium deposit in the breast or anywhere else in the body is because that's the area that's precancerous. So now it's just trying to be dumped somewhere to hopefully get it out. So look at, where would you, so I already told you about the breast. Why would you get a breast calcium? Why would you get a calcium deposit in the breast? Well, because your breasts are inflamed. But why are they inflamed? I already told you they're fat tissue, and it's a place to store toxins and inflammation. So to put the fire out, because you're not listening, you've had breast problems. You could feel the fibroids coming. You could feel the pain around your period, even when you didn't have your period. And then you felt under your arm, and under your arm it felt like fat. There's no fat under the arm. You're blocked up with lymph so bad. So when you're blocked up with lymph, then you got to fill up the storage tanks, right? And you only blocked in your lymph because you were blocked in your bowel. What? I'm blocked here? Because I was blocked down here? From the bottom up, from the inside out. Trust me, I know my stuff. You guys really don't know my work, our work. But if you're here for the next 9 months, you're just going to go, I'm not really sure what we can't do because it looks like we can do it all. Well, we can do it all when we decide to give it all back. Give back their power. Learning that circulation is the most important thing, but microcirculation is more important than arterial and venial. Okay? All right. So where were we? Oh yeah, so so what would he do? Oh my God. He goes, Daryl, you'd be surprised how many people I take their gallbladder out and there's no gallstones, but they want them because it's like their badge of honor, right? Because they just went to war. So we just go and grab a few and give them to them. I'm not making this up. You can't make that stuff up.
Deception rules the world.
Well, it definitely rules the gallbladder, because deception rules the gallbladder, because you wouldn't have gallbladder problems if you didn't hold on to so much anger. Because that's what the gallbladder does. It stores the excess anger that the liver has to take on. Liver let live. Okay.
So I've had,
You have to come over here.
off again, I keep telling myself, don't talk so much.
Well, why?
like doing it, though.
I know, but the thing is that you're a practitioner.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're eventually going to have a show.
Yep.
And you've got a lot to say.
Yep. It's that little subconscious that says, you're not worthy, and the other part says, oh yeah, I am. So I'm up here.
No, everybody's worthy.
Yeah.
I already told you that when we get going here, if I have to make 6 studios, because we've got 24 people doing shows here, we're going to show off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to be up here.
Okay, all right. Here,
Everybody again?
where am I here? Which one? Which? This guy.
Okay.
Take that guy.
Okay.
What do you got to say?
Well,
You want to have a seat?
sure.
Okay, I'll move this. And
I might need that.
this is my fig leaf, everyone. Okay, thanks, because we may be going back to the cave days. Okay, all right. Can you hold that for me so I don't wreck it? What? It's
also a tube top.
No, that's called a boob top. Okay, all right, let's go.
Okay, so.
Can you tell that we've almost had enough of each other? Almost. What do we got, 2 more days? What do you think?
Another couple weeks. That's Sage.
That's Sage, yeah, see. Boy, won't you get some relief. Okay.
Alrighty, so the liver and gallbladder represents anger. And I didn't express any anger, because if I were to express anger, then I'd get hit or kicked or thrown out, or, I couldn't, if I expressed anger for sure, but if I expressed anything, I learned to just regress and not just be this little thing that hid in my room. However, I had pain here ever since I was a little girl, and I thought, oh, it's just a side ache. So if I rode my bike, I had pain here. If I was walking on the playground, I had pain here. No matter what I was doing, I always had pain here, starting as a very little girl, and it's continued all my life, and it's gone. I love the spontaneous release of it. So I've been flushing for a couple days, and I decided to look at it yesterday and realized, oh my gosh, that's so fascinating, those stones. But I've already talked about that, but I just wanted to say that the anger in there, so letting go of the anger and admitting that I had a lot of anger because it wasn't fair to be mistreated for doing absolutely nothing, just being me. Just sitting somewhere, just walking somewhere, just being me. It really wasn't fair to be attacked for doing absolutely nothing. But goodness gracious, all gone. Pain here's all gone. That inner anger that I held on is all gone. Yay!
Yeah. So basically what she's saying is she has no need to get stoned anymore.
And that's right. I've had plenty. I'm done.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. How are we doing? Is everybody learning anything? Okay. All right. Welcome to the poop chute. Okay. So, so let's go back to this, what we were talking about. So understand that this is, okay, this is not a garbage can. This is the holy grail of everything. It is the good bacteria. Your bacteria are your first brain. We call it the second brain, but they're your first brain. How many people here know that the good bacteria talk 9 times to the brain, where the brain only talks 1 time to them? Because information from your bacteria, oh, you're going to love this, is the most information that goes to the brain. And the reality is, yes, there's information coming from all the organs, because down here where you see you have your sigmoid rectum anus, you also have behind it the coccyx bone. And then you have the sacrum, which is known as the sacred bone of energy, which is right here. And it's why it's a sacred bone of energy, because this is the holy grail right here. And then this is the wick. The coccyx is like the wick. And this lights up your life, because all the information from the bacteria actually go into the coccyx, which is the root chakra, which doesn't get very good information when we call this root rot. When you get root rot, you're getting the wrong information in your root chakra that goes in your coccyx, that goes into the spinal fluid, that comes up your spine, because the main purpose why you have a spine is to protect and run the liquid that has the most light and information to your brain. So the spinal fluid has more information and more light than any other fluid in the human body. But what if the information was corrupted? Then you would have bad moods, you would be dumping the wrong chemicals and hormones that would take you out of balance, because you were out of balance here before you were out of balance there. Okay, so we know the bacteria are talking, the information goes into the spinal fluid up, and you're also getting information here from, you have like a nervous system coming out from your spine all the way up. And the information comes, and then when it goes up here and it goes, liver needs this, stomach needs this needs this. But 85% of all energy is created right here, and it's stored right here. So the bigger you are, the less energy you have. A star will get bigger and bigger and bigger until it dies. Okay, so cecum, ascending colon, hepatic flexure stands for liver. Now understand something. The reason why we don't call it, anything except, why do we have to call all these things Greek names? Arthritis, right? Arthritis. Why don't they just say what it is? Inflammation in the joint. That's arthritis. Colitis. Inflammation in the colon. Okay? Sinusitis, inflammation in your sinus from not eating properly. Okay? So anything with itis means inflammation. So why don't they just say that? Because guess what? We went to school for a long time. We're the Holy Grail. We're going to sell you drugs. We're going to poison you. We're not going to give you any information. We're going to make you think that you need to go to school for 10 years to be able to touch anyone. And I say, horse crap. Let me just say this to every medical doctor out there. When you're done with somebody, give them back to us and we'll repair them. And that's what we do. We are left with the leftovers of what they do. Oh no, you know what? Why don't you just leave our people alone and we can get them there quicker? Why do you have to stab them and poison them and then give them back to us and then tell us that we're the ones? Oh, we're the alternative? I don't think so. You're the alternative, and guess what? They weren't even existing until 135 years ago. And if anybody saw a tumor in someone 135 years ago, they would call people from 250 miles away to come and see the tumor because it would never happen again. And then when they started to get into business, everything went to hell in a basket. And guess what? This then became the highway to hell because they know nothing about health. A farmer knows about health. Oh, everything is about deception. And I think I mentioned this before, and if you didn't know this, you should. The Salem witch burnings were all women that were herbalists. And that was your government and your church. And they fried them. All right, so let's just make really clear, because it's not his story anymore. We're going to make it our story. Okay, and I'm not upset. I'm just making a point. And just know that when I get back from Tennessee, anybody out there that would like to challenge me on my show, I need the entertainment. Okay. So the reason why we get ulcerations, whether it's in the stomach, or it's in the stomach, the intestines, or here, is all about bad bacteria. So remember, the first domino was your stomach. So take care of it. And how are you going to do that? Calm down. Calm down. Okay, so large intestine, as it comes up, I told you the water is going to be absorbed. But what if there wasn't enough water in it? And what if you had a glicky, sticky diet and it gets stuck? Well, then it's going to get stuck on the side of the walls. And if it gets stuck on the side of the walls, you're going to get this. Diverticulosis, which is the condition. That's a diverticuli. And we're going to call it diverticulitis when it's inflamed. So understand something. What's the root of almost all disease? Constipation. But no, I'm not constipated. Yeah, but you don't poop like me. You don't go, I'll go to the bathroom 2 to 3 times a day, eat 1 meal a day. I might do a blender drink, didn't do one today. But when I'm, not here at the hotel and I'm back at the palace, I'll be doing a blender drink every day. So the reality is, and then what's your bowel movement like? Okay? How easy is it? Do you feel like, oh, I think it's time to go? And then you sit down and you go, and then you just go? Or do you have to strain? Do you have to wait? Or do you get up and you start to walk away? Oh, I gotta go again. Or do you have to wipe and use like 3 rolls of toilet paper? Right? Or it's so sticky that a piece gets caught. And an hour later, it's, what's going on down there? I'm kidding. Or it's actually stuck to your shoe. I don't know, I think Sharon can relate. What do you think, Sharon? Okay, so anyways, so all these hostras, and did you ever notice something, talking about toilet paper and where it was stuck? Okay, did you ever notice something? That if you can't go to the washroom, okay, please, I know you're going to think this is crazy. Just get a little bit of toilet paper and tickle your anus. It'll come. Because your anus has... Your anus.
Like you're serious.
I am serious. Go do it right now and prove me wrong. Do it.
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, all right. So anyways, maybe just carry a feather. Okay, listen.
I only shared it with you if you were going to keep our secret.
Okay, so anyways, there's more pain fibers in the anus than anywhere in the body. But they're not pain fibers. There's more feeling fibers. So when you go to wipe or anything goes by there, it re-triggers it. Okay, come on, let's bring some more. I mean, we don't get them here much, so let's just keep going, right? So that's why.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why when you get a hemorrhoid, it's more than a pain in your butt, right? You know? Why are you walking like a duck? Well, because I feel like you got a duck up there, okay? Yeah, but we'll be talking about that why in a few minutes, about the duck thing, okay? All right. And when we do take our break, I want you to prove me wrong.
Can I have my feather back?
Okay. So we know that right now it's 60% of all cancer is in the reach of your finger. And you know what? They can't figure it out. I mean, it's complicated. Let's all see if we can figure this out for them, okay? Why do you think that would be? Dana?
Because all those toxins are up in there, all the crap.
All the crap. That's not really...
The poop in the pelvis.
Pooping in the pelvis. Well, that's true, but the reality is this. How often have you gone to the bathroom and you said, you know what? I know there's a little bit more in there because it's too sticky. It's like, oh, I can't get that. No, they're out there. Jesus. So, you know, just think if you did that for years. Oh, wait a minute. You did. You did do that for years. And the problem is that the sigmoid colon here, this here, see this? It falls down on itself and closes right here. And this is where we see a lot of colitis. Or, we'll be talking about that in a few minutes, or the transverse colon, which is the bridge of life, falls down. And you know the people, you've seen them. And you've seen it. Like I saw a guy, okay, and he had a shirt on, a t-shirt, but then he had this thing hanging. And I call that the elephant snout. And that was actually the transverse colon falling down and out and hanging here. And, oh, wait a minute. And you know he goes to the doctor all the time, but they can't figure out what to do for him. How would you like to go to school for 20 years and be that crippled? Seriously.
So what can be done to reverse that?
What?
What can be done to reverse it? Hanging down like that, stretched out.
Okay, he would have to do advanced water fasting. That's the only way to do it. He'd have to be on the ionic calcium. Okay, he would have to be on like the black diamond, and then when we brought him off of that, then we'd have to put him on organic juices. Everything has to be high vibrational. Okay, because if it's high vibrational, we can bring it higher. We can bring it higher. If it's low vibrational, it's just going to hang lower and lower. So, what kind of a low vibrational, emotional, nutritional, physical life has he lived? He already gave up a long time ago. Okay, so a person like that was down and out before this was down and out. So people, you have to understand when you're down and out here, you're going to be down and out here. You know, the mind will affect the bacteria and the bacteria will affect the mind. It's like a pinball machine, back and forth, right? I told you. Your spinal fluid is a loop-de-loop. Okay? All right. So, we're going to talk about polyps and hemorrhoids. We're going to talk about ulcerative colitis, okay? We're going to talk about fistulas and fissures. We're going to talk about, ready for this? 85 to 95% of all of the problems that we have and how they get started and how they never had to happen. And I will tell you this, the Royal Society of Medicine, which is the medical system of Great Britain, right? They did the longest study on the large intestine. And they said it was now this is the medical system. They said a minimum of 85% of all disease would be eliminated if the large intestine was looked after properly. Now that's the medical system. I'm going to tell you that it's more like 95, 98. Now remember, we do know that it's the invisible creates the physical. We do know that the invisible is everything, but what the invisible does is it creates that physical thing. So I can do cleanses, I can do the advanced water fast, you know, I can cleanse the colon, I can do core exercise, the belly button therapy, I can do the advanced squats, I can do all of this thing and it's going to help, right? But if I don't go into the landmine, because I need to bring up my spirit, because the spirit lives in every cell. And the problem is, with our dysfunctional beliefs, and I told you this before, and I'm going to repeat it again because you need to get it, everything you're looking at is cells, isn't it? Isn't it cells? And every cell has a blueprint on it, which is an antenna that only allows your spirit in. Your spirit cannot come into me, but I get close enough to her, I can feel energy off of her, her spirit will come into me. And that will help to heal me as long as her vibration is up. But if her vibration is down, it won't heal me. It could even make me sick. So this is why you want to really watch who you hang around with, because everything is about energy. Now, what I'm trying to say is if I'm emotionally corrupted and I starve myself of self-care, self-love, but you can't have self-care if you don't have self-love, because self-love is the energy source for self-care. So if you don't have self-love, you're only going to have self-care temporary, even if you have cancer. That's why people say, I'm a 3-time cancer survivor. Because they didn't have self-love, they had self-care because they were fearful of dying. I don't want to be fearful of dying, I want to thrive. I know I can only thrive on a permanent level if I learn how to unconditionally love myself and make that the most important program of my life. So, highway of life or highway to hell. And understand something, until you become your own practitioner, until you become your own guard dog, until you start saying no, because you're going to say no more than you're ever going to say yes. If you were to really look at the vibration of foods and drink and everything else, you would have to say no 80 to 85% of the time to your family to pull off a healing. How are you going to do that when they believe now that you think you're better than them? Let's think about that, and we'll come back and we'll put our head up our butts and we'll go to the large intestine and really find out what it's about. Okay?
Let's add to what you just said.
Then get over here and do it. Come on, girl.
Hi, everyone.
Here.
You know who I am by now, Serena from Singapore, who will not allow anyone to sabotage this project. I didn't fly 30 hours to just go home with him running away from all of us. Just a reminder, just pushing it in. Anyway, I had an amazing colon, intestines, whatever, work from the younger version of this man. And I'm going to kidnap your son. Definitely. When I first got here, I was one of the first to jump on him to get I've had 2 cesareans. And the first 2 colon therapy he did for me, both non-surgical, was physical pain.
Abdominal lift.
Abdominal lift was physical pain. It was, I could feel him going through punching, the crystallization, the scar tissue, etc., etc.
Adhesions.
Adhesions. I had like kind of a, what do you call, polyps or whatever, the stitching.
Yeah.
So it kind of smoothed out after the second
Non-surgical.
non-surgical. Anyway, and then he did.
I'm here to fill in all the gaps.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I can say in Chinese,
I know.
not in English. Okay.
Okay.
So I had a lot of work done from him, but I had to let you know how much I had done. So every day since I've arrived, 4 days a week, I had something done by Sage.
Sage.
So I had the vagus nerve, my brain, my ENT, my shoulders, my back, even my butt. So you can see they're a bit lifted now.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a lot of work done, but the one that did it all was yesterday's colon intestine.
Abdominal lift. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Abdominal lift.
Yeah, yeah. I'm her translator.
And the reason why I say that is because I think he first removed all the superficial scar tissues, and then the calcification, the crystallization, and the stitching and all, etc. Last night, I have never felt such a heavy emotional release as from what he did yesterday. Visions of, I watched you working on her, that lump on her head.
Yes.
My daughter was born with that on her forehead. And I mentioned that my daughter had umbilical cord wrapped around her neck because I had to have a C-section, an emergency one. The doctor said, you have to go to the hospital. She's round the neck, but not due for 4 more weeks. It's no, you don't go home, you just don't pack. Get him to pack, you go to the hospital right away. And immediately the next morning, at 9 a.m., she came out, screaming, and she was a horrible baby, colicky, scream and temper tantrums, etc. This vision of her in so much agony when I was conceiving her, I thought, oh my God, all caused by me. What an ignorant fool I was. I said, holy shit. Because probably when I met my husband, we had a fantastic relationship. But long story short, I don't have family. I disowned my family. I ran away from them because they were negative. So that was the one thing I did right. Yay, family curse, kicked it out right away at age 16. Anyway, so I left them and I went off on my own, did a couple of jobs, finished my school, work, tuition, all kinds of stuff. That's why I'm saying, Hannah, you are super blessed to be able to come here to have such an amazing experience funded by mom. Mm-hmm. We have to fund ourselves, right? With 400 jobs. Anyway, but I'm saying my point is that I could see what I had done to the unborn child in me last night when Sage did the work on me. I had never confronted that whole vision or seen anything like it before. And Sage went deeper and deeper and deeper, and I saw that I could. So my daughter and I have a very good relationship. She's tough like me, but we always have a little thing that just didn't click. I know that it was from that whole birth. It was this little thing that we take for granted. The doctor said, go for do this, and then give you antibiotics, and then etc. All kinds of drugs you're given. But I'm really happy that you're going to do this pain-free pregnancy test class conduction.
Yes.
This that for the women who are coming into the course. And I think we should.
Well, I'd like to finish it, and I'm going to need your help. And some of the other people that really want to be part of this, I need your help to help me.
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, we're so close.
I'm there.
And I mean, you move around so fast, we could probably get it done now. I'm not sure, but I'll get back to you.
Okay, slow down. Anyway, so my point is that I am amazed at that non-surgical work that you created. And I'm constantly impressed and surprised and feel really blessed that this whole journey of mine has been such an amazing adventure, and it's only just beginning. Dramas, no drama, whatever, all come.
Wait till we open up the treatment rooms, and then we need you to help us out, and you're in there watching miracles before your eye. And you know what? The miracle's inside everybody. All we got to do is just remove the calcium, untie the knots, and then let their spirit shine.
Yeah, so I was able to share that with my daughter. I didn't tell her right away what happened. So it was kind of late last night to carry on the conversation. I had to stay in my room and just process this. And this morning, I had a flush and a coffee enema last night, and I did it again this morning. After my coffee enema last night, I was so hungry, so I ate something. I had a smoothie, but this morning, after my coffee enema, I was shaking. I was like, oh my! I couldn't. You didn't hear the smoothie machine going on. I said, oh my God! I couldn't even do anything. And I said there was no way I was going to make it to the 8 o'clock class today. I'll just take time and sit in my room.
Beautiful.
And a little bit.
Beautiful.
Then I took the opportunity to go and see.
Does anybody know why they shake when there's no stress going on? Because you're shaking it off.
That's what Sid said, yeah.
You're shaking it off. So she went in and she took something that she couldn't deal with. She buried it, and last night she's just like the dog, trying to get rid of the, after a swim, just trying to shake it off.
But what came out this morning in the flash was some amazing shit that I never saw in my life.
Like what?
The first flash was maybe gallbladders. I don't know what they were, like hard balls.
Yeah.
That had old friends, ancient friends, maybe when I was a child. I don't know.
Yeah.
The second flash.
Ancient friends.
The second
glad you didn't-
Asian friends.
Yeah. Ancient Asian friends.
The second flash was long and like creature like moving, I don't know, plasma and mucus.
It was moving.
Yes. Well, maybe I imagined it. I said, okay, die. And I
If
flushed it
that-
down, go.
if it was that long, it was a tapeworm.
Yeah.
That was a tapeworm.
Holy shit.
Your vibration's going to change now.
So that, I
Okay,
went to
well,
this,
bury something in you that you're ashamed of, and you're going to have a tapeworm. You're going to have a tapeworm. Go ahead and be negative. People that are negative, that won't smile, that are miserable, they have worms. I already told you, I can eat the worms, eat the mold, eat the bad bacteria. It can't touch me. People go, oh gosh, Daryl, we're really worried about you because you work so hard, you might get sick. What do you like, sick? No. You have to understand, there's people that aren't even working that are dying at home. You have to understand something. It's energy in motion. I love what I do. Do I get tired? Yeah, but I'm going to bed peaceful.
so that's tapeworm.
That was a
I'm
tapeworm.
glad. I went to this pool camp.
Remember we talked about that, the worm that went to school.
Oh, okay, when I was 6 years old,
Yeah.
right. Okay, when I used to eat dirt.
What does it
Yeah.
look like again?
I went to a pool camp, not pool camp, I went to a liver detox place in Koh Samui. I was shared that with you. I went there a couple of times, and all we did was to take liver oil and maybe hot broth in the morning and broth in the evening and nothing else, no food for 20 days. We started with 5 days, then 12 days, then 14 days, 20. I did it the whole. I went everywhere to get this bloody tapeworm out that I met in 6 years old.
Yeah, I know, but you just got it out.
Never came out.
I know, but you bring your vibration up. Okay.
Yeah.
Everything we do translate into frequency. What if you were the medicine? What if you were the medicine? Because the medicine that we call medicine is not medicine, it's poison. Now, supplementation and energy nutraceuticals are medicine, they're higher vibration, but there's never going to be anything higher vibration than you. If you have a breakthrough today, you get to have a tapeworm tomorrow. You get to dump gallstones, have a breakthrough. I mean, you look 15 years older 2 days ago.
Yeah, you did.
And then you dumped your gallstones yesterday, and now she's back.
Well, just is what I want to do. And I wanted to say that don't be afraid of pain. The pain that you're going to get from the both. If you can withstand the pain, allow the person who applies the pressure onto you to go deeper.
Breathe together. Breathe
It-
together.
It's,
Breathe with your
you will
therapist.
The pain is unbearable, yes, no doubt. But on the flip side, when you come out of it, all that pain is forgotten because you have relieved and let go a lot of crap in your system, which took me. How old are you? 65?
I'm 46.
Oh, I'm 60. I'm 42. Okay, so whatever it was. So I'm just saying, allow the therapist to work on you, and the pain is really your DNA, and keep tolerate it.
Just think about this, guys. So guess what? This tent is going to be your home. It's going to be beautiful. We got 6 air conditioners in there for you. It's going to have plants. It's going to have couches. It's going to have beautiful lighting. It's going to have all the mats. It's going to have all the massage chairs. And then guess what? You can go in there and work on each other. You're going to learn this and then work on each other. If you stay here, what's that going to look like? What are you going to look like in just a few weeks? Do you have any idea that everything that they ever told you that was impossible becomes I am possible?
And I am here. I am love. I love me. I am Braveheart. I am Braveheart.
All right, let's take a 10-minute break and then we'll come back and we'll go down the poop chute.